His last get-together was months ago. Work, education, and relationships had taken up their time, and life had become busy. Everyone delighted at the chance to spend a weekend in an old cabin in the woods when Marcus proposed it. They believed it would be exactly like the past. A vehicle traveling down a desolate, winding road surrounded by tall trees. The drive seemed to go on forever. As the woodland became deeper and the road became narrower, the majority of the sunshine was blocked off. Emily, seated in the passenger seat, felt uncomfortable and couldn't get rid of it. It was the entire journey, not just the route. It didn't feel quite right. Emily staring out the window. Are we getting close? It truly feels like you are in the middle of nothing here. Marcus smiled and said, calm down. You will love it. Just wait to see what happens next. She could always be calmed down by Marcus. He was the group's leader and a constant source of energy and positivity. However, he was unable to help the developing quiet in the vehicle. The vehicle approaches the cabin. The group exits and surveys their surrounding. David, extending. Well, this is comfortable. Just the two of us. No neighbors, no Wi-Fi. With a smile, Sarah. That seems to be the main idea. This was necessary. Even though Sarah was always trying to find the positive, she was a little uncomfortable. The cabin appeared to be quite old. The wind blowing through the leaves was the only sound, and the trees surrounding it seemed to press in from all sides. The buddies laughing as they explore the cabin while carrying their baggage inside. The cabin's interior was simple and unadorned. A small kitchen, a couple of bedrooms, and a fireplace-filled living room. Everything was covered in dust, and the air had a faint wood smoke scent. The quietest person in the group, Lucy, wiped the dust off a vintage shelf with her finger. Lucy laughs. It appears like no one has visited in years. It's perfect for our haunted weekend, teases David. Even though they were all laughing, the joke felt awkward. The cottage had the feeling of being cut off from everyone and everything. Emily, who was typically a nature girl, could not stop staring out the window, as though something unexpected was going to pop out of the trees. Emily whispering to Marcus, "Are you sure of this? This place feels off?" Marcus puts his arm around her and says, "You're simply tired out. We're going to relax, enjoy ourselves, and forget about everything at home. Believe me." Emily desired to have faith in him. But it was difficult to shake the uneasy feeling that was beginning to settle in her chest because of the calm of the woods, the creaking flooring of the cottage, and the oppressive silence. After dinner, the company gathered around the fireplace, laughing and chatting. The atmosphere had slightly softened by the time dinner was over. The friends were playing cards like they used to in college while the fire crackled. Everything felt normal again for a brief while. Sarah says, "I'm going to win this hand," just like old times, while holding up her card. David laughs. "Not in a million years. Remember that I am the king of cards?" Lucy's smile was fading as she looked out the window. Yet Lucy wasn't having fun. She sat close to the window and stared out at the very dark woodland. In the dark, the woods had a strange appearance, like if they were concealing something. The hairs on the back of her neck were sticking up. She could feel them. "Do you guys ever feel like you're being watched?" asks Lucy, whispering. Emily grimaces. "I thought I was the only one. This place is really quiet." The laugh stopped. All of a sudden, the woods seemed to be listening while the silence outside grew deeper. They were all beginning to sense, though no one wanted to acknowledge it, the unsettling feeling that they weren't alone. The friends are preparing for sleep. The cabin feels cold, and the fire has subsided. The cabin got colder as the night wore on. The trees outside shook and groaned as the wind increased. Emily had trouble falling asleep. She jumped at the slightest sound, the wind, the creaking floorboards. She continued to stare out the window, half expecting to catch a glimpse of something moving in the dark. "Emily," in a whisper, "Marcus, hear that?" "Marcus, it's just the wind," half asleep. It did not, however, sound like the wind. It had the sound of footsteps. Heavy, slow footsteps pacing the cabins outside. Emily says, "I think there's someone out there," as she sits up. When she pulled back the curtain, she was met with complete darkness. Not much shifted, yet the sense of being watched persisted. She attempted to convince herself that it was all in her head, but she had trouble falling asleep. An outside view of the cabin with the wind whipping about it. The Hay group, tired out and nervous, gathered around the breakfast table. Nobody felt very rested the following morning. Unsettling dreams and weird noises kept them all up at night, making them toss and turn. David, who was normally full of jokes, appeared serious for one. David sighs and asks, "Did anyone get a good night's sleep? I kept hearing strange things." Sarah nods. "Me too. I'm positive I heard footsteps outdoors." They all felt the same way, even though none of them wanted to confess it. There was something off about the cabin. The forest appeared overly serene and motionless. In an attempt to get some fresh air and relax, they made the decision to go for a trek. The friends strolling through the forest while attempting to get over their discomfort. The woods were lovely, but as they continued to stroll, they became more and more uneasy. It felt as though breathing became more difficult as the trees grew closer. They came to a halt when they reached a bend in the trail. And strange rock and stick symbol lying on the ground. A worried Sarah asks, "What is that?" Arranged with precision on the woodland floor, it appeared to be a ritual symbol of some kind. Lucy's face was cold as she knelt down to examine it more closely. Lucy whispers, "I'm not fond of this. Something looks wrong about this." Marcus laughs hard. It's probably just a practical joke. A few children playing around. But Lucy was sure it was no joke. Similar symbols have already appeared to her in old texts. People were supposed to be protected by it, but from what? The tone was strained as the group walked silently back to the cabin. On the drive back, nobody talked. They felt uneasy in the woods now that the sign had scared them. The lovely cabin felt like a trap now. Emily was stuck with the impression that they had stumbled across something unfamiliar. The wind howls outside the hut. Once more, the buddies gather around the fire in an attempt to overcome their fear. The atmosphere had changed that evening. No more silly banter or joking. Listening to the wind and the unusual creaks of the old cabin, everyone was on edge. Emily's hands were shaking as she gazed into the flames. Emily asks, "Do you think we're safe here?" Marcus, attempting to maintain composure, says, "Of course we are. First thing tomorrow, we're going to depart." However, Emily didn't accept him. Her heart raced when she saw something in the woods earlier, even if it was just a shadow. She could feel it crawling and observing her again. The fire was not very strong. Unexpectedly, the roof resounds with a huge bang. A shocked Emily asks, "What was that?" Marcus, getting up, says, "Keep yourself calm. I will investigate." However, before he could react, there was another loud crash and a scraping noise that sounded like something heavy being pulled across the roof of the cabin. The friends were paralyzed by terror and froze. "David, speak. We have to leave out of this place." Marcus stopped as he pulled open the door, his face turning pale as they hurried to get their baggage. "There's something out there," whispers Marcus. A tall, twisted figure with luminous eyes stood at the edge of the woods. With branches scratching their faces, the group ran through the woods. They took off running. They needed to leave the cabin, even if they had no idea where they were going. They heard heavy step behind them, slow and deliberate as they approached. Emily gasps, "Don't turn around." Sarah staggered and went down. While the others run on, Marcus assists her in getting up. Even though they were tired out, they continued. Whatever it was following them, never taking its blazing eyes off their back. Breathless, everyone staggered into a clearing. Even though they had reached a clearing, it felt like the woods were getting closer. With those brilliant eyes, the creature observed them from the edge of the trees. Though it remained still, the fear it created was sufficient to paralyze them. Lucy says to herself, "What does it want?" Nobody could provide a response. Their only awareness was that they were ensnared. They were completely engulfed by the woods, and there was no way out. The creature moved forward, its eyes becoming more brilliant. It had become a nightmare instead of the weekend that was meant to unite them. They were going to confront the darkest area of the forest at this point.